On our third anniversary, my officer wife had dinner with her first love. So, I sent her the divorce papers. My name is Graham Whitaker. On the night of my third wedding anniversary, I sat alone at a dining table set for two and watched my wife raise a glass with another man. The dinner I had reserved was empty. The cake I had ordered still sat unopened in our living room. The candles shaped like the number 3 had never been lit. And my wife, Major Laura Hartley, was not on duty. Not trapped at Fort Redmond, not responding to an emergency, not comforting a wounded soldier, not handling a military police report, not briefing a commander, and not doing any of the 100 things she had used over the past 3 years to explain why I should always wait. She was at the Officers Club restaurant with Captain Arie Unveiling, her first love, her former academy classmate, her closest comrade, the man who had returned from overseas 6 months earlier and somehow managed to occupy more space in my marriage than I did. I found out because of a social media post, not from Laura, not from a message saying, "I am sorry, Graham. I cannot make it tonight." Not from a call explaining that something urgent had happened. I found out when Adrian posted a photo. In the picture, Laura sat across from him near the window of the private dining room I had booked weeks earlier. She was wearing the navy blue dress I had bought for our anniversary last year, the one she once said made her feel too soft for a military officer. She was smiling in a way I had not seen at home for months. Adrienne's hand rested on the back of her chair. On the table between them sat the white roses I had ordered, 99 of them. The restaurant manager had messaged me half an hour earlier, asking politely whether my wife had arrived first and whether I wanted the flowers brought out immediately. That was when I realized the flowers had been claimed by her. For him I called her. She answered on the 4th ring. Music and low laughter came through the phone. Glasses clinked. Adrienne's voice murmured something in the background. I looked at the empty bowl across from me, the untouched wine and the 2 plates of food still warm because I had believed she might walk through the door at any moment. "What time are you coming home?" I asked. Laura sighed. Not guilty, not surprised, annoyed. "Graham, can you stop pushing me? You keep asking. Is it not exhausting for a moment?" I said nothing. I looked at the photo again. Adrian had angled it well. Her smile, his hand, the roses, the expensive wine, the military club logo behind them. Every detail said he knew exactly who would see it. I saved the image. Then I turned on call recording. My voice stayed calm. "When you come back," I said, "do not forget to sign the divorce agreement." There was silence on the line. 2 seconds, maybe 3. Then Laura laughed. The laugh was light, sharp, dismissive. "Here we go again. Graham, are you serious? Adrian just returned from a difficult deployment rotation. I am having one dinner with him. Today is important for him." I looked at the cake on top and silver icing. The words read, 3 years, 1 home, 1 dinner. I repeated. Adrienne's voice came through the phone. Lower now. Deliberately gentle. "Laura, do not fight with him because of me. I can leave if Mr. Whitaker is uncomfortable." That was his trick. He always offered to leave while making sure everyone heard how noble he was for offering. Laura immediately said, "No, stay. He is just too sensitive, too sensitive." After 3 years of marriage, after 3 years of bills paid, uniforms pressed, late dinners reheated, family debts covered, base forms handled, and his endless emergencies tolerated, my anniversary became an example of my sensitivity. I saved the recording. I screenshotted Adrienne's post. I forwarded the restaurant manager's message and the card transaction record to my attorney, Daniel Fraser. Then I ended the call. The living room was quiet. The anniversary dinner still steamed gently in the center of the table. 2 sets of cutlery, 2 glasses, 1 empty chair. The cake remained untouched. The candles shaped like 3 lay beside it in a small gold box. I picked up the candles and threw them into the trash. The sound they made against the bin was soft, but in my chest, something closed with the finality of a vault door. I opened my laptop. The divorce agreement was already prepared. Not because I was impulsive, not because of one dinner, not because I had suddenly become jealous of Adrian Vale. That agreement had been drafted 3 months earlier, 3 months before our anniversary. Adrian had sat in the front passenger seat of my SUV while I drove Laura and him back from a military charity briefing. Laura had said, "Adrian gets motion sickness in the back. Let him sit in front. You do not mind, right?" I had minded. I had also watched Adrian turn slightly in the seat, one hand resting near the dashboard, smiling as though he had won a small territory. That night, I called Daniel and asked him to prepare a first draft. 2 months before our anniversary, Adrian moved into the upstairs rest space above one of my commercial properties. He claimed his military media office had not found a proper location yet, and Laura said, "It is only temporary. You have so many unused rooms anyway." I had the property manager back up every entry log. 1 month before our anniversary, Laura took my late mother's old wristwatch from the drawer and lent it to Adrian. "He has to meet an important defense client," she said. "That watch looks respectable. He will return it." My mother's watch, the last thing she wore before the hospital. Laura handed it to another man because he needed to look respectable. I copied the purchase certificate, downloaded the hallway camera footage, and photographed the empty drawer half a month before our anniversary. Adrian used the dependent pass linked to my household to enter the restricted officer's residential area without notifying me. Laura said he needed to pick up some documents. "Why are you acting like a security guard?" I printed the access report. No, I had not been blind. I had been waiting. Part of me still hoped Laura would stop before the last line. Part of me wanted to believe she had simply lost her sense of distance because Adrian had returned with the old wounds of war and academy memories. Part of me kept telling myself that 3 years of marriage should weigh more than one man's return. That night when I saw my anniversary roses on Adrian's table, I stopped hoping. I called Daniel. He answered immediately. "Graham," he said, "is this the night?" "Yes." "Which plan?" "The first one. No delay." He did not ask me if I was sure. Good attorneys do not ask questions when the record is already clear. "Send me the call recording, the post, the restaurant receipt, and the manager's message." He said, "I will begin electronic evidence preservation tonight. Tomorrow morning, we go to notarization." "Anything else?" "Stop the vehicle authorization. Cancel the spouse card. Revoke Adrian Vale's access to all properties under my name. Keep Laura's one-time personal entry privilege for the residents but no guests. Freeze the emergency credit line for the Valor House program." Valor House, Laura's military family outreach initiative. She liked to describe it as her life's work. A place for veteran families, ceremonial memorial planning, deployment, homecoming events, military portraits, and support services for spouses. In public, it was Laura's dream. In private, it had survived because I had paid the rent, guaranteed the accounts, connected the clients, drafted the operating agreements, and solved every boring problem she did not want to touch. Understood. Daniel said, "I will notify the property manager and accounts team." "Do you want her informed tonight?" "Only by system notice." A pause. Then he said, "I am sorry." I looked at the cake again. "Do not be," I said. She made this easier. After the call ended, I went to the bedroom. My clothes did not take long to pack. That was the strange thing about 3 years of marriage. The items I truly owned and at home fit into one suitcase and 2 document boxes. The house itself was mine. A premarital property bought fully before I met Laura. Long before the Hartley family decided I was a useful, quiet man. The SUV Laura drove to base every morning was mine. The commercial building where Valor House operated was mine. The reserve fund that covered Laura's urgent work expenses was mine. The watch she gave Adrian was my mother's. The military gala client she called hers had been introduced by me. The legal, accounting, and logistics structure under her polished public image had been built by me. I took my passport, company seals, bank cards, title deeds, property certificates, business contracts, my mother's remaining jewelry, and a small framed photo of my parents. I left everything else exactly where it was and photographed every room in divorce. Memory becomes unreliable. Photographs do not. At 9:27 p.m., Laura called for the first time. I did not answer. At 9:31, she sent a voice message. "Graham, what is wrong with you? I just tried to pay with the card and it failed. Do you know how humiliating that was in front of Adrian? Are you ill?" I saved it. At 9:35, Adrian texted me, "Mr. Whitaker, a man should not be this petty. Laura only came to dinner with me. Freezing her card in public is not very graceful." I replied with 3 words. "Are you worth it?" Then I blocked him. At 9:46, the security camera at the front gate sent an alert. A car braked sharply outside the residence. Laura's heels struck the walkway fast and hard. The lock beeped twice and denied entry. She knocked, then knocked harder. "Graham, you changed the access." I sat in the living room. The divorce agreement lay on the coffee table. Beside it were printed copies of Adrian's post. The restaurant receipt, the card suspension notice, the vehicle authorization cancellation, the dependent access revocation, and a sealed property inventory. The wedding photo had been taken down from the wall. I had placed it on the floor face down. The property manager's voice came from outside. "Major Hartley, Mr. Whitaker left instructions." You may enter once tonight after facial confirmation, but no visitors may enter. Laura's voice rose. This is my home. I can bring whomever I want. The registered property owner is Mr. Whitaker. A moment of silence. Then Adrienne's voice lower and softer. Laura, maybe I should leave. I do not want to make this harder. Of course, he did not leave. Men like Adrienne never leave when they can watch damage happen. Laura said, no, I want to see how far he plans to take this. Her face scanned. The door opened. When she stepped inside, anger still burned in her eyes. Then she stopped. She saw the table, the papers, the empty wall, the sealed key bag, the suitcase near the hallway, the anniversary dinner gone cold. Her hand froze halfway toward the divorce agreement. Graham, she said, voice lower now. Are you serious? I pushed a pen toward her. Sign it, then you never have to explain what time you are coming home again. Adrienne stood outside the door, not daring to cross the threshold. Laura glanced back at him and something in her expression cracked only slightly enough for me to see she understood the humiliation of the situation was no longer under her control. Do not embarrass me in front of him, she said through clenched teeth. Good, I said. Then let him hear. Clearly, from now on, who you eat with has nothing to do with me. She picked up the agreement, scanned the first page, and slammed it back onto the table. You are acting insane. I had dinner with an old friend at the Officers Club restaurant I booked for our anniversary. It was only convenient. With my roses, her lips parted. The manager gave them to us. Because the reservation was under my name, she said nothing. Outside, Adrienne tried to scan his temporary access pass. The system denied him. A polite electronic voice said, guest access cancelled. He coughed awkwardly. Laura turned on me. What is wrong with you? Adrienne just wanted to come upstairs and sit for a few minutes. This is my premarital property. He is not welcome here. Your premarital property, she repeated as if the phrase tasted bitter. We have been married for 3 years. The title has been mine for 8. Adrienne called gently from the doorway. Laura, I am sorry. I really do not want to cause trouble. His voice was soft, but every word pushed the blade deeper. Laura immediately looked at me with fury. Do you hear him? He is still thinking of your feelings, and you treat him like an intruder. He is an intruder. He just returned from a hard deployment. He returned 6 months ago. He is rebuilding his life with my card. Her expression changed. I opened a folder and placed the first receipt on the table. Today at 4:26 p.m. Westmark Tailoring $86,000. My spouse card signed for by Adrienne Vale. Laura's eyes flicked. Adrienne's face reddened in the hallway. That suit was for a client meeting. Laura said quickly he needed something formal. I told him he could borrow the card. He was going to return it. Return a tailored suit? She bristled. Graham, do you really care about $86,000? Yes, that stopped her in the past. I would have pretended the money did not matter. I would have said I was not angry about the cost, only the meaning. I would have given her a way to make the conversation emotional instead of factual. Not that night. Laura stared at me as if I had become someone else. I placed the next papers down. Hotel charges, camera equipment rental, private dining, ride shares, fuel, military club fees, parking in the restricted residential garage. One watch taken from my mother's drawer, several expenses marked as Valor House outreach, all connected to Adrienne. Adrienne took one step forward. Mr. Whitaker, couples should not divide everything so coldly. Laura did not marry you to be audited. I looked at him. Did she marry me to finance you? His smile stiffened. Laura stepped in front of him. Do not insult him. I watched her body put itself between me and Adrienne. My wife had not stood between me and insult once in 3 years, but she moved instantly for him. I picked up the SUV key from the table and placed it into a sealed envelope. The white Porsche SUV is titled to me. Insurance, loan, maintenance, and base parking authorization all run through my account. Effective now. Your driving permission is suspended. Tomorrow, my driver will retrieve it for inspection. Any personal items inside will be listed and stored. Laura shot to her feet. That is my car. Show me your payment record. Her mouth opened. No words came. Adrienne tried again. This is too much. You are using money to control her. I turned to him. You are wearing $86,000 of my money while saying that. His face went red. Laura's phone rang. She answered angrily. Then her expression changed. The garage security office was on speaker. Major Hartley. The Porsche SUV exit authorization has been cancelled. Please contact the registered owner for release. She ended the call slowly. Adrienne looked uncomfortable. He had arrived in that car. Now he had no ride back unless he called one. Laura stared at me. You are doing all of this tonight. No, I said you did it tonight. I am only writing it down. At 10:15 p.m. Adrian finally left in a ride share before the elevator doors closed. He looked at me and said quietly, if you push her like this, you will only drive her farther away. I closed the door and answered through the wood, I do not want her back. The elevator moved down. Laura stood in the living room, and for the first time that night she had no immediate accusation because her phone had just received another notice. Household primary account access changed. All dependent spouse cards suspended. She looked at me. The anger had not disappeared. But behind it, fear had appeared. Not fear of losing me. Not yet. Fear of losing access. That was the first truth of the night. The next morning at 9 o'clock, I arrived at Daniel Fraser's office. He closed the conference room door and placed 3 folders on the table. The first was labeled Emotional Boundary Evidence. The second, Financial Transfers and Personal Benefits. The third, Valor House Investment Property and Authorization Records. He tapped the first folder. Divorce itself is not complicated. The harder part is separating Major Hartley and Adrian Vale from your asset system cleanly. You gave too much for too long. I know. At least you kept records. I pushed a flash drive toward him. Call recording from last night. Adrienne's post. Restaurant receipt. Card failure message. Gate access log, garage authorization, photos of the residence, family group chat exports. 6 months of Adrian-related expenses. Daniel plugged in the drive. Laura's voice filled the room. Can you stop pushing me? You keep asking, is it not exhausting? Then Adrienne's voice. Laura, do not fight with him because of me. I can leave if Mr. Whitaker is uncomfortable. Daniel did not comment. He only wrote special date, public emotional neglect, third-party provocation, spousal humiliation. I stared at those words last night. They had felt like a knife in Daniel's notebook. They became a record. That was the strange mercy of evidence. It took pain out of the air and put it somewhere it could not be denied. Daniel opened the second folder. The first $2 million transfer into Valor House. Was it loan or gift? Loan. Laura signed interest-free for 3 years. Repayment after operating profits. Commercial building lease. Premarital property. I charged symbolic rent $1,000 per month. Market value at least $42,000. He looked up. Then we restore market rent next month. If Valor House cannot pay, they move. Correct. He smiled faintly. Clean. No, I said late. At 10:20, we completed electronic evidence preservation. At 11 o'clock, we went to the notary. The clerk verified the original phone records, screenshots, timestamps, card transactions, access logs, cloud backups, and downloaded videos. I sat beside Daniel and watched the small details of my marriage become formal materials. At noon, the first legal notice went to Laura. It required her to stop using household or personal accounts for Adrian-related expenses, preserve marital property, cooperate with financial disclosure, and respond to the divorce agreement within 3 days. The second notice went to Adrian. It required him to account for and return all improper benefits received through Laura's spouse card, Valor House accounts, my vehicles, my commercial properties, and my personal resources. At 1:15 p.m., Laura called. I did not answer. At 1:17, she texted Graham, you took this to a lawyer. Are you insane? I forwarded it to Daniel. Daniel replied to her directly. Major Hartley, please direct further communication to counsel at all times. Valor House Finance called Mr. Whitaker, the finance manager, said carefully. Major Hartley asked why the emergency reserve account has been frozen. We have a deposit due this afternoon for the Veterans Homecoming Banquet. That reserve account was opened under my personal guarantee. The guarantee is suspended. Use Valor House's own operating account. A pause. Sir, there is not enough cash in the operating account. Then, Major Hartley needs to solve it through Valor House. The finance manager lowered her voice. Also, Captain Vale requested reimbursement for a new camera system, $120,000. Major Hartley said to process it first and get documents later. No reimbursements connected to Adrian Vale without original invoices. Contracts, client confirmation, and my attorney copied. Whoever authorizes payment carries responsibility. Her voice tightened. Understood. At 3:40, Laura stormed into Daniel's office. Her eyes were red, but I could not tell whether from tears or anger. What do you want from me? She demanded. I sat at the far side of the conference table. Divorce and accounting. She stared at me as if the words were another language. Because I had one dinner with Adrian. I pushed the expense summary toward her. Not one dinner, 63 meals, 11 hotel nights, 2 tailoring purchases, 3 camera rentals, a watch, restricted parking, work reimbursements, and advanced payments through Valor House. She flipped through the pages faster and faster. These were normal support expenses. Then he can explain them. Her phone rang. Adrian, she reached for it automatically. Daniel said, Major Hartley, since Mr. Vale is a subject of financial dispute, I advise against discussing this in front of my client. Laura froze for once. She did not answer. Then Adrian sent a voice message. The room was quiet enough that the preview played automatically when she touched the screen by mistake. Laura, is Graham using money to pressure you again? Do not be afraid. I am with you. Laura silenced it, but too late. I looked at the folder. He knows the problem is money before you told him. She gripped the phone for the first time. She looked uncertain, not ashamed. Not yet, but uncertain. That was where the truth began. Laura's mother called me that evening. Patricia Hartley's voice was hard from the first word. Graham, come to dinner tonight. Couples fight. Do not drag private matters into lawyers' offices. Laura cried all night because of you. I asked, will Adrian be there? A pause. Captain Vale is a guest. Do not be narrow-minded. I will come. The Hartley house was an old military residence on the hill above the city. Portraits of uniformed men hung in the hallway. Sabers crossed above the fireplace. Everything in that house was designed to remind visitors that the Hartley family had served, commanded, sacrificed, and therefore deserved respect. They were less interested in reminding visitors who paid the bills recently. The living room was full when I arrived. Laura's father, retired Colonel Richard Hartley, sat in a medical recliner near the window. His post-stroke therapy schedule had been paid by me. Patricia sat on the sofa with a face arranged for judgment. Laura's younger brother Owen leaned against the wall with his arms crossed. His academy debt, failed equipment business, and apartment deposit had all passed through my accounts. 2 aunts, a cousin, and 3 family friends sat nearby. Adrian occupied the seat beside Patricia, wearing the $86,000 suit. He rose when I entered. Graham, he said softly, I am glad you came. Last night was partly my fault. Please do not blame Laura. He called me Graham as if we were old friends, as if my money on his shoulders had purchased familiarity. Patricia struck the table with her palm, apologized to Laura and to Captain Vale. I looked at her. No. The room hardened. Owen laughed once. Brother-in-law, do not bring your bad temper here. We are family. I placed a folder on the coffee table. Good. Then let us review family. Patricia frowned. What is that? The first document is Owen's loan agreement. $500,000 for his apartment down payment. Signed. Repayment was due 4 months ago. Owen's face changed. You are really bringing that up. I opened the second document. Colonel Hartley's rehabilitation and hospital costs last year. $314,000 paid from my account. Richard lowered his eyes. Patricia's mouth tightened. I opened the third. Valor House initial operating loan $2 million signed by Laura, not a gift. Laura stood. Graham, you have to humiliate me in front of my family. I looked at her. When you told me I was exhausting during our anniversary call, Adrian was listening. Did you worry about humiliation? Then the room went quiet. Adrian stepped in gentle as always. Money can be discussed slowly. Laura has worked hard for 3 years. You cannot reduce marriage to numbers. I turned to him. You have numbers too. I placed another summary on the table. Captain Adrian Vale 6 months of benefits through Laura Valor House and my personal accounts. Preliminary total $428,000. His smile froze. You cannot demand repayment from me. I can demand explanation. If you believe each payment was proper, sign a confirmation listing purpose, client, invoice, and deliverable. I will not sign anything. Then my attorney will proceed. Laura moved in front of him again. Stop treating him like a criminal. Patricia looked at her daughter. Laura, did that much money go through him? It is not what it looks like, Laura said. Owen muttered. You told us Graham was cheap. That sentence landed harder than anything I could have said. Several relatives looked away. I opened my banking app and showed Patricia part of the transfer history. I am cheap apparently, yet most large Hartley family expenses in the last 3 years came from me. Patricia stared at the screen. Her face slowly collapsed. Laura reached for the phone. I pulled it back. I am not here to argue. I am here to notify you. From today forward, my accounts will not pay any Hartley family expenses. Owen's debt will be collected under the agreement. Valor House debt will be handled under the loan contract. Adrian's expenses will be traced and pursued separately. Adrian stood. You are doing this because you cannot bear that Laura cares about someone other than you. I looked at his suit, returned the clothes before discussing care. He said nothing. I turned to leave. Laura followed me to the door. Graham, she said, how do you expect my parents to look at me after this? I stopped. That question belonged to you before you took Adrian to my anniversary dinner. Her eyes reddened for once. I did not stop. Behind me, Patricia's voice rose in the living room. Laura, how much have you hidden from us? That was the first time Laura's family questioned her instead of me. It would not be the last. The next day, Laura posted online, not directly naming me. Of course, people like Laura liked public sympathy, but feared public facts. The photo was a cold coffee cup beside her uniform cap. The caption read, "The scariest thing in marriage is not arguing. It is realizing someone can use money, accounts, and records to control every part of your life." 3 years, and maybe I saw the wrong person clearly too late. Her military friends began commenting within minutes. Stay strong. Major controlling spouses always hide behind concern. You deserve tenderness, not audits. A woman with a career always threatens weak men. Adrian commented too. You deserve to be protected gently. His comment rose to the top. By noon, the Hartley family chat exploded. Owen wrote, Graham, you really forced my sister into this. She has one dinner with an old comrade and you freeze her life. Are you even a man? One aunt wrote, I always felt he was too quiet. Quiet men can be scary. Another cousin wrote, Laura has always been too good for him. I did not respond immediately. I sent the thread to Daniel. He asked, do we reply? Facts only, no emotion. 3 minutes later, Daniel posted a formal statement in the chat. It listed the timeline. Third wedding anniversary restaurant reservation made by Graham Whitaker. White roses ordered by Graham Whitaker. Major Laura Hartley attended the reservation with Captain Adrian Vale without notice. Payment attempted on Graham Whitaker's spouse card. Phone recording preserved. Captain Vale's public post preserved. Financial and property disputes under legal review. Attached were 3 images. The restaurant order. The card transaction. Adrian's photo with my roses. The chat went quiet. Owen wrote after a minute. Why post this in the family group? Family shame should stay private. I replied for the first time. When you insulted me publicly, you were not worried about family shame. No one answered. Then Adrian appeared in the chat. Mr. Whitaker. Publishing selective screenshots may violate privacy. Laura and I are innocent. Your insinuations are defamatory. Daniel responded before I could. This is Daniel Fraser, counsel for Mr. Whitaker. If Captain Vale believes his rights have been violated, he may pursue legal remedies. All claims, expenses, posts, and statements are preserved. Further publication of false allegations such as controlling spouse, financial abuse, or emotional coercion may trigger defamation action. The group fell silent at 8 o'clock that evening. Laura came to the hotel where I had temporarily moved. She did not knock because she did not know my room. She called from the lobby. Come down. No, Graham. Do not be cold. I am outside. Contact my attorney. Her voice trembled. The post was mine, not Adrienne's. Blame me, not him. Delete it. Publicly correct it. Apologize. Have Adrian return the benefits. Then we discussed divorce terms. You want me to lose face in front of everyone? No, I said. You are not used to facts standing on my side. Silence. Then she whispered, you were not like this before. I loved you before. Her breathing caught. And now I do not. Through the glass of the lobby below, I saw Adrian arrive by taxi holding a hot drink. He walked straight to Laura and handed it to her, then looked up toward the hotel windows as if he knew I was watching. I ended the call. Seconds later, Adrian sent a photo. He stood beside Laura in the lobby. His caption was short. A person who truly loves her would not let her wait alone in the cold. I saved it. Then I replied, thank you. Additional evidence. The Valor House anniversary gala had been planned for half a year. It was supposed to celebrate Laura's outreach program, military family ceremonies, veteran portrait projects, deployment farewell events, and memorial flower installations. In public, it was her proudest achievement. In reality, the venue deposit was paid by me. The contract was guaranteed by me. The high-value clients were introduced by me and the legal risk had been carried by me. Laura did not invite me. Adrian did in the most insulting way possible. He sent a message through a junior staff member. Mr. Whitaker may attend if he wants closure, but please inform him that seating is limited. I arrived at 7 o'clock. Outside the ballroom stood a large poster of Laura and Adrian together. Valor House Unveil Military Media Joint Launch. Adrian wore a white suit in the poster. Laura stood beside him in uniform, smiling professionally. They looked like co-founders. He saw me near the entrance and walked over. Mr. Whitaker, I am surprised you came. Tonight is an internal professional event. I am afraid we did not reserve a seat for you. I looked at the sign-in table. My name had been crossed out. The staff member behind it stared at the floor. I did not blame her. I asked Adrian who paid for this ballroom. He smiled. Valor House. Obviously, you do not need to make everything about yourself. Laura appeared then in formal uniform, looking flawless beneath the lights. What are you doing here? She asked, collecting accounts. Her expression tightened. Not tonight. These are clients, officers, donors. Do not embarrass me. I am not embarrassing you. I said, I am withdrawing from the performance. I called the ballroom manager. He came quickly with the contract folder. Mr. Whitaker, the way he addressed me made Adrian's smile falter. I asked, who is the personal guarantor? You are, sir. Has the final balance been paid? Not yet. I withdraw my personal guarantee. Valor House may pay under its own name or renegotiate. Please update the contract and financial responsibility. Yes, sir. Laura's face darkened. You would force this here. No, I forced nothing. I am no longer covering what you choose to stage with him. Inside, the host had begun speaking. Tonight, we honor Major Laura Hartley and Captain Adrian Vale, whose vision will merge military ceremonial services, veteran portrait work, and family outreach into a new model of care. Applause filled the ballroom. Adrian recovered himself and walked onto the stage. He picked up the microphone and smiled. I do not enjoy discussing credit, he said. Laura has carried so much for years. I only came back to help her breathe again. Some people offer support as a cage. I want to give her freedom. Several heads turned toward me. Laura did not stop him. Her silence was permission. I walked to the first row and handed a folder to Colonel Marcus Ellery, representative of the largest military family contract Valor House had been chasing that year. He opened it. His brows tightened. Adrian continued on stage. Future partnerships will combine event planning, portraits, memorial design, and veteran storytelling. I have personally secured several high-level clients. Colonel Ellery stood. Captain Vale, are you referring to the Fort Redmond Family Resilience contract? Adrian smiled. Of course, Colonel, we had promising conversations. The Colonel lifted the folder. My first contact regarding this project was Mr. Graham Whitaker. The contract structure, risk plan, vendor insurance, and service model were all prepared by him. Your only submitted material was a portrait sample marked as not accepted by our review team. The applause died. Adrian's hand tightened on the microphone. Colonel, perhaps there is a misunderstanding. I connected my laptop to the ballroom screen. Not private footage, only documents. Original contract draft created by Graham Whitaker. Client introduction email sent by Graham Whitaker. Meeting notes prepared by Graham Whitaker. Revision history. Graham Whitaker. Adrian Vale appeared once in an attachment marked rejected sample. Insufficient technical quality. Murmurs spread through the room. Laura moved toward the control table. I stepped in front of it. Not finished. The next document opened. Commercial property lease. Valor House operated in my premarital building. 3 years of symbolic rent. $1,000 per month. Market rent $42,000 per month. New notice. Discounted lease cancelled. Market rent due next month or vacate within 15 days. Laura's hand clenched. Colonel Ellery closed the folder. Major Hartley, pending resolution of ownership, debt, and management concerns. Fort Redmond suspends cooperation with Valor House. That sentence did more damage than any insult. Adrian stepped down from the stage. This was all planned. He whispered to Laura. He set us up. I heard him. I looked at both of them. No, you took other people's foundations and forgot who built them. The gala ended early. The ballroom manager approached Laura for the balance. Her card failed. Valor House's emergency account could not pay. Staff whispered, clients left. 1 hour earlier, Adrian had stood under lights and called me a cage. 1 hour later, the lights, venue, clients, and money had all moved out from under him. 3 days after the gala, Adrian tried to force his way into my residence. The property manager called me first. Mr. Whitaker, Captain Vale is at your door with Major Hartley. He says some of his camera equipment is inside. Is he authorized? No. Call security. If he damages anything, call police. I opened the live camera feed. Adrian stood at the door with his phone raised. Graham, come out. He shouted. You cannot keep my things. Laura, look at this. He is using property to force you back. Laura stood beside him, exhausted, but she did not stop him. He kicked the door once, twice. On the third kick, his wrist struck the handle. He cursed and clutched it. Then he looked at Laura. He pushed me. She stared at him. Graham is not even here. Adrian's eyes flicked toward the camera. He has people. He did something. Security arrived. Then police at the station. Adrian sat with a bandage around his wrist, claiming I had caused his injury. Laura looked torn between defending him and not knowing how. I arrived with the full video. The officer watched Adrian kick the door, hit his own wrist, then shout that I had injured him. The room went quiet. I played the audio. From the hallway, Adrian's voice came clear. I will make him carry an illegal detention charge if he thinks he can scare me. The officer turned to him. Do you still claim Mr. Whitaker attacked you? Adrian's lips moved. I was emotional. I said, I do not accept mediation. Door damage must be paid. False accusations and harassment will go to counsel. Laura stood. Graham, does it have to go this far? He only wanted his equipment. I looked at her. You watched him lie in a police station. Her face went pale. Adrian grabbed her hand. Laura, he is twisting it. I was scared for you. I told Daniel, who stood beside me, add this to the file. During police contact, Major Hartley continued to defend a third party with direct financial conflict after video contradicted his statement. Laura ripped her hand away from Adrian's. Do not write everything into a file. I looked at her. You were not afraid when you did it. Why be afraid when it is recorded? She had no answer. Outside the station, she followed me down the steps. Can we talk? No. If I ask Adrian to leave Halden, will you stop attacking Valor House? No. Her face whitened. Why? Because I am not acting out of anger anymore. I am removing risk. The collapse of Valor House began with cash flow. Then came suppliers. The flower vendors wanted immediate payment. The ceremonial equipment company canceled credit terms. The military portrait printing supplier refused new orders without deposit. 2 clients requested refunds. 3 staff members asked whether the commercial building was truly being withdrawn. By then, everyone knew Laura had built a public dream on private money and had let Adrian stand in front of it as if he had carried the weight. At 10 o'clock on Monday, the Valor House operations manager messaged me, Mr. Whitaker. Major Hartley asked whether the supply terms you negotiated can remain until the current military spouse event finishes. I replied, no, the contracting party is Valor House, not me. At 11 o'clock, Colonel Ellery's assistant emailed, Mr. Whitaker, Fort Redmond has officially suspended cooperation with Valor House. If you consult independently for another approved provider, we are open to discussion. At 10 o'clock, Laura came to my new office. She was stopped at reception. That had never happened to her before. She looked humiliated when she entered the visitor conference room. I am still your wife, she said legally for now. She placed a folder on the table. Adrian made a list of the expenses. Some of them should not have used your card. I can repay part. I opened the folder. The list was vague. Formal wear for client engagement. Hotel for work convenience. Camera system for military media project. Meals with potential donors. Travel related to emotional recovery and reintegration. I pushed it back. This is not a repayment plan. This is a story. Her jaw tightened. You do not have to be cruel. Where is Adrian? She did not answer quickly enough. He sent you to talk while he hides. He is under pressure. Some creditors are looking for him. I almost smiled. Not because it was funny, because it was predictable. You knew he had debt. Her eyes flashed. You knew. I warned you. No, you did not. 3 months ago, I told you his overseas resume had gaps. You said I was jealous. 2 months ago, I told you his reimbursements looked wrong. You said I was petty. 2 weeks ago, I told you his hotel and equipment charges were not normal. You said I did not understand loyalty. She sat still. The door opened. My receptionist looked uncomfortable. Mr. Whitaker, 2 men are downstairs asking for Major Hartley. They say Captain Vale used Valor House as guarantor for a personal loan. Laura stood so quickly her chair scraped the floor. From the window, we saw them in the lobby holding photocopied debt papers. They were not loud, that made it worse. They simply told reception. Captain Vale said Major Hartley's organization would cover the debt. Laura's hand trembled. I called Daniel. Document it. Possible misuse of Valor House name. Prepare complaint if necessary. Laura turned to me. Complaint. He used your organization to borrow money. If you do not report it, you may become responsible. But if I report it, Valor House's reputation is finished. If you do not, the debt may become yours. She sat down slowly. This time she did not defend Adrian. She asked almost like a child, "What do I do?" I slid Daniel's card across the table. Hire your own attorney. Her eyes reddened. Is this all we are now since our anniversary night? I said yes. She left with slow steps. I did not walk her out. By evening, creditors were outside Valor House. Adrian locked himself in Laura's office. Clients filmed the scene. The man she protected was now using her door as a shield. The audit report arrived a week later. Daniel and I sat in his office when the independent accountant placed the findings on the table. Adrian had diverted funds, not only through sloppy reimbursement. Through forged authority, a document appeared in the packet. An authorization letter stating that I permitted Captain Adrian Vale to represent Valor House in military media partnerships and access promotional advances. The signature at the bottom used my name. It was not mine. I stared at it for a long moment. Then I laughed once. Daniel looked at me. Not funny. No, just complete. The forged authorization had been used to pull an advance of $280,000 from a partner account. It had also been used to justify camera equipment, hotel expenses, and external media vendor deposits. We filed the police report that afternoon. Laura sat across from me at the station, pale and silent. The officer asked, Major Hartley, who provided this authorization? Her voice was low. Captain Adrian Vale. Did you verify Mr. Whitaker's consent? She did not answer. The officer repeated. Did you verify it? No. Why? She closed her eyes. Adrian said Graham would not mind. I sat beside Daniel and said nothing. Adrian was brought in 2 hours later. He looked shocked that the matter had become criminal. The moment he saw Laura, he turned on her. Tell them the truth. You knew about it. Laura's head jerked up. What? You said Graham's money was basically yours. You said he always gave in. You gave me the access codes. You approved the reimbursements. That is not true. Adrian's face twisted. You want me to take this alone? You told me he would come around. You told me he was harmless. The room went still. Laura stared at him. This was the man she had shielded for half a year. The man who posted about tenderness. The man who accepted my roses, my card, my car, my property, and my wife's protection. His first instinct under pressure was to drag her down. The officer tapped the table one at a time. Adrian kept talking. He said Laura allowed him to use the spouse card. He said Laura let him stay in the property rest space. He said Laura told him my resources would become hers after divorce. He said the forged authorization had been understood because Laura never objected. Laura shook. Adrian, you said you loved me. He snapped. Do not make this emotional. I was trying to survive. That was the first honest thing he ever said. Outside the station, Laura followed me. I did not know he would forge your name. But you knew he used my money. She opened her mouth. No answer. You thought taking advantage of me was not serious as long as it was not criminal. Tears spilled down her face. I was wrong. I looked at her. Save that for your lawyer. She reached for my sleeve. I stepped back. Her hand fell empty. The final divorce meeting took place in Daniel's conference room. Laura arrived early. No makeup, hair tied simply, no uniform. For the first time in 3 years, she did not look like Major Hartley. She looked like a woman who had finally spent a night alone with the truth. Before the formal discussion began, she asked, Can I ask you one question? I said, nothing. She took that as permission. On our anniversary, did you really plan to celebrate with me? I opened my phone. I showed her the reservation, the cake order, the white roses, the message I had typed, but never sent. Laura, tonight, let us start over. She read it. Her tears came instantly. Why did you not send it? Because Adrian posted first. Her hand covered her mouth. In that photo, Adrian's caption had read, After everything, the person who understands me most is still here. Laura whispered, It was not what you thought. It was exactly what I saw. I only wanted to help him. He was lonely. You betrayed the boundary before you betrayed the bed. She froze. I continued. You gave him my anniversary, my card, my car, my chair, my house access, my mother's watch, my clients, my money, my dignity. Then I asked what time you would come home, and you said I was exhausting. She lowered her head. Daniel pushed the final agreement forward. Premarital house to me, vehicle to me, commercial property to me. Valor House to repay the $2 million loan within 60 days or enter structured secured repayment. Adrian related expenses to be pursued separately. Marital property divided under the list. Forgery and fund diversion preserved for legal action. Laura's attorney reviewed it. Laura looked at the repayment clause. Valor House cannot repay $2 million then secure the debt, Daniel said. She looked at me. Graham, for 3 years. No, she flinched. I have not finished. I know the sentence. For 3 years we were married. For 3 years you worked hard. For 3 years you trusted me. No, the agreement stands. Her phone rang. Adrian. She hesitated then answered. Her hand shook and accidentally turned on speaker. His voice came out sharp and desperate. Laura, tell Graham the authorization was not all me. You knew. Do not let me carry this alone and the $280,000. I cannot return it now. You need to help me. If you act innocent, I swear I will tell them everything. Everyone in the conference room heard. Laura's face turned white. Adrian kept going. Do not pretend now. You said Graham's money was yours sooner or later. Now that you cannot get half the house, you want me to pay. You cannot be that cruel. The call ended. Laura slowly placed the phone down. For the first time, she had heard him without illusion. She signed the agreement. Page after page. Her tears fell onto the paper near the final signature. At the end, she looked at me and whispered, "You are not rushing me anymore." I remembered our anniversary call. What time are you coming home? Stop pushing me. Is it not exhausting? I said, no, just sign. That broke her more than shouting would have because now she understood. I no longer cared whether she came home. The official divorce day was clear and cold. Outside the civil affairs office, young couples waited with flowers and candy. Their laughter sounded unreal to me, like music from another room. Laura arrived wearing the beige coat she had worn the day we first registered our marriage. She knew I would remember. I did. It changed nothing. The process was quick. When the clerk asked whether we were both here voluntarily, I answered immediately. Yes. Laura hesitated. The clerk repeated the question. She looked at me. I did not look back. Finally, she whispered. Yes. The certificate was issued. 3 years of marriage ended with a stamp and a file number. Outside, Laura followed me. Can you walk with me for 10 minutes? No, just 10 minutes. What would 10 minutes change? She stood still. The answer was nothing. Her phone buzzed. Then another message, then another. Her attorney received notices at the same time. Court preservation on Valor House accounts. Commercial property relocation notice, vehicle handover notice, Fort Redmond contract termination. 3 messages arrived almost together. Laura's hand trembled as she read them. Graham, she said, voice breaking. You really left me nothing. I left you the things that were yours. I cannot survive this. Ask Adrian. The sentence drained her face because Adrian had already turned on her. Because the man she protected was now telling police she had approved everything. Because the person who had always made her life survivable was me and I was gone. We went to the commercial property that afternoon for formal inspection. The building had wide glass windows, white interior walls, polished floors, imported floral equipment, portrait backdrops, veteran memorial display shelves, and ceremonial design tables. Laura had taken countless photos there. She had called it the place her dream began. The property manager held the checklist. Major Hartley, if Valor House does not accept market rent within 15 days, please clear the premises. Occupation fees apply afterward. An employee whispered. What about Captain Vale's equipment? Laura heard the name and turned sharply. Register every item of his and hand it to the lawyer. Do not call him Captain Vale in my office again. That sounded decisive. It also came too late. That evening, the Hartley family chat changed tone. Owen wrote, Laura, what about my $500,000? Graham's attorney contacted me. Patricia sent a voice message crying. Your father's follow-up fees are due. What are we supposed to do now? Richard wrote only one line. Graham was more generous than we deserved. Laura called me. Daniel's assistant answered. Mr. Whitaker has directed that all communication go through counsel. What is your legal issue? Laura stayed silent for a long time. Then she hung up. She finally understood that she no longer had direct access to me. Adrienne's fall was faster. The forged authorization, diverted advance, false reimbursement claims, and creditor complaints all moved together. He tried to call it borrowing. He tried to say Laura understood. He tried to say I had given informal permission, but informal permission does not create a signature. The handwriting analysis did not help him. The access logs did not help him. The bank transfer record did not help him. Within weeks, he became a cautionary story in military event and media circles. No one wanted him near budgets. No one wanted his name on a contract. The overseas awards he claimed began to fall apart under scrutiny. 2 were fake. 1 belonged to another photographer with a similar name. The International Defense Media Project he mentioned at every dinner had never paid him because it had never existed. The man Laura thought needed protection turned out to be nothing but appetite. Wearing a wounded face, Laura did not escape easily. Valor House survived in name but shrank to a third of its size. It moved from my glass-fronted commercial building into a small rented office with 2 desks and a storage room. The Fort Redmond contract was gone. Several suppliers demanded cash. 2 staff members resigned. The social media friends who once called her a strong woman stopped commenting when the legal statement spread. Her military reputation also changed. No one punished her officially for having dinner with Adrienne. But the command reviewed the use of her dependent access, Valor House accounts, and Adrienne's involvement in military-adjacent contracts. Her liaison authority was suspended for months. The next promotion list did not include her name. People did not say why. They did not need to. In professional rooms, silence can be louder than accusation. 1 month after the divorce, Laura moved out of the house. I did not attend. The property manager supervised. She took her uniforms, clothes, books, medals, and some framed photographs. The wedding photo remained. The property manager later told me she stood in front of it for a long time. "Does Mr. Whitaker want this?" she asked. The manager called me. I said, "She can take it." She did not. She left it leaning against the wall. Not because she did not want it, because there was no longer any place it belonged. I sold the house 2 months later. Not because I needed money. Because walls remember. I did not want my mornings to begin in rooms where I had waited for someone who had already left in every way except physically. The last time Laura came to see me, she stood in the lobby of my new office holding a small wooden box. Security stopped her. I allowed 5 minutes in the public conference area. She looked thinner, simpler, less like the officer everyone once stepped aside for. She placed the box on the table. "Your mother's watch," she said. "Adrienne gave it back before the investigation got worse. I kept it because I did not know how to face you." My assistant picked up the box. I did not take it from her hand. Laura noticed, her eyes dimmed. "You cannot even take something from me now. That was never yours." She nodded slowly. "Right." She looked at me for a long time. "If that night had gone differently," she asked. "If I had come home. If I had eaten dinner with you, if I had never let Adrienne sit in your place, would we still be married?" "No." She flinched. "I said that night was the last thread. You had been handing Adrienne the knife for months." Her eyes filled. "I know that now." "Good." She waited. Maybe for comfort, maybe for some sign that knowing mattered. It did not. "I will not bother you again," she said. I nodded. She turned to leave. At the doorway, she looked back. "I really did love you." I answered honestly. "You loved being safe with me. That is not the same thing." She left without another word. 3 months later, Adrienne was formally charged for forged authorization, fund diversion, and related fraud. Part of the money was recovered. The rest entered repayment and litigation. His name became unusable in the industry he had tried to conquer through Laura. Valor House remained open, smaller, and quieter. Laura paid the debt in installments. Her family stopped calling me names because every insult risked another document being opened. Owen's debt entered collection. Patricia stopped posting about controlling spouses. Richard sent one written apology through Daniel. I read it once and filed it away. I did not answer. On the first anniversary after the divorce, I ate dinner alone in my new apartment. No cake, no candles, no white roses, no one asking whether I was exhausting. The silence felt strange at first, then peaceful. My phone did not ring. Laura's number had been deleted. Once she asked through a mutual acquaintance whether we could meet. The reply was simple. Legal matters through counsel. Personal matters closed. That was the final answer. Laura lost the marriage, the house, the vehicle, the clients, the commercial property, part of her military reputation, her easy family pride, and the man who had quietly held every unstable piece of her life together. Adrian lost the image, the access, the money, the borrowed elegance, the fake tenderness, and the place he thought he could steal from me. They both thought that when I said divorce on our anniversary night, I was speaking out of anger. They were wrong. The moment Laura said I was exhausting for asking when my wife would come home, I stopped being the man she could casually disappoint. I did not destroy their lives. I only took back what was mine. The house, the car, the money, the clients, the records, the dignity, and finally myself. I left without turning back. No reconciliation, no second chance. No more letting betrayal wear the mask of friendship. No more letting love become an account other people could spend. From that night forward, every key in my pocket opened only doors that belonged to me.